Good evening, everyone. Here is another episode of Burn Bridges, brought to you by The Creative Catalyst. I'm your host, Michael Crown, and tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you all to Jennifer Janae.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael, for having me.
Thank you for giving me the space and the time to be able to fight tooth and nail in a little bit and work around your schedule and trying to get you on here. But I'm very appreciative and definitely want to let the people know that they are in for a treat tonight. And we have a series of some topics we want to talk about and everything like that. So I am excited to talk to you. All right. So let's see. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's see. So can you tell the people, who you are, where you're from?
Yes, I'm Jennifer Janae Tom, originally born in Texas, but grew up in Seattle. I have a lot of family members in the Louisiana area and came to Atlanta maybe about 2002, almost 2003, and have been here ever since. I work as a chef. I'm a mobile chef throughout the Gwinnett County area, and I specialize in Cajun and Caribbean cuisine.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I know in Atlanta that's a very hot type of food that's well demanded. There's so many restaurants,
Hmm.
so many places in Atlanta. And I know
Yep.
that's a very prominent type of food.
Hmm.
Okay. So how did you get into food? Like what sparked that passion for you to get into that lane?
Well, just growing up, watching my mother and my grandmother and my aunties in the kitchen. I was a little kid that used to hang around the kitchen, so I always had a passion for really good food, just the culinary. And when I got older, um, I decided to, just kind of pursue that thing because I always had a love for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's just in me.
Okay. So it was homegrown. That's where it came from the source, and you
Yes.
basically blossomed into going through. So how is it okay if I could ask you, like, how long have you been cooking for
About 12 years now.
professionally?
Hmm. Professionally.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is, I guess, safe to say that cooking and just the reactions of people, that's the thing that keeps you going. Or what is it exactly in that process of the industry of food? What exactly keeps you going?
Yeah, cooking is very relaxing, and people just love really good food. I mean, their faces light up, and you could just tell how much they love really good food. So I mean, I'm serving it. I love cooking it because it's relaxing, and I love eating it because I love to eat. I'm a tourist, love to eat. But then, yeah, just serving people and attending gatherings and networking events and things like that. I mean, they love when the chef shows up.
Yeah, I think in almost every situation, if you have food, whatever attitude somebody had, it's gone away. It's like that's
Oh
that
yeah,
one
it
thing.
makes them feel a whole lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, any event, any situation, it just makes the whole situation better. It's a bonding thing. Everybody eats
Mhm.
together, laughs together. It's a prime fellowshipping situation. So that's you bring happiness. You are a
Yeah.
blessing.
Mhm.
Yeah. So okay. So you're the sole owner of your restaurant.
Yeah, I'm the sole owner. I'm mobile,
Okay.
so yeah.
Okay. Sole owner. Okay. So um as the name of the show is Burn Bridges, and just to kind of give you a light dive into it and where it comes from. you know I've been creative for a very long time. I started very early, and I've gone into a whole lot of different avenues: video, film, the whole situation, graphic illustration, the whole situation. And in my journey of learning and picking up skills and things of that nature, the thing that always caught my attention was the fact that in the process of learning how to do something, you meet people come into your life for a season or two, and they leave. But
Exactly.
they never leave completely empty.
Mhm.
And it's always something left behind, if it's a positive thing or if it's a very negative thing. And the thing that
Mhm.
interests me, living in Atlanta, was almost everybody who's remotely successful goes through something, but then they don't talk about it. It just happened and they let it die out, and then they move on to something else.
Yeah.
And you go on social media and they're smiling, they're happy, and it's like, oh, that, you would think that a person is always happy, but there's something kind of eerie as to that person being happy, knowing that
Mhm.
they went through something that made them that strong person today.
Right.
So, what my question to you is, what were some of the things that you started to get into, that you either partnered with someone or along in the process that you've invested a lot of energy, time, money into something where it went left, it went sour, and just changed your perspective on it?
Well, I guess I could take it back to when I first came to Atlanta. I was pursuing music, and so I worked with a lot of people behind the scenes, and I had a few experiences where it was just a lot of negativity. I guess going into the record labels and trying to get signed, and
Mm,
just not really being taken seriously. I guess a lot of the females in the industry go through this,
mm-hmm,
but it's difficult to to get signed. It's difficult to be taken seriously. A lot of people just don't treat women very well in the music industry. So
mm-hmm,
I've had some issues and have gotten into it with a producer or two,
mm-hmm,
and so that kind of um, just changed the way I approach relationships and business,
mm-hmm.
and just a lot of, I guess you could say, sexual harassment, just a lot of things like that that I was going through. And
Wow.
for a long time I was battling depression because of what I was dealing with and the type of people I was dealing with. And so that really took a big piece of me, took a big piece out of me. Just not being able to get what I needed in the industry, and
Right.
just yeah, it was tough.
So, is it say that, because that sounds very familiar, even, in my own experience, it's like, it's almost as though as the people that don't take you serious, woman or, what have you, just whomever doesn't take you serious, it's almost as though as they spoil the process of coming up for
Right.
you, and they make you feel like, well, you shouldn't have been here in the first place. If you are acting this surprised that I'm coming at you this way, then
Hmm.
maybe you should not have even been here.
Right. Right. And I think a lot of the issue that this particular person was having with me was I come from a hustling background. I come from Magic City,
Hmm.
and they knew that I hustled. So that probably had a lot to do with it, where she dances. So, you know, of course I'm coming at you. What do you expect? That's the kind of attitude this person had, and what he actually said to me. Of course I'm coming at you. You're shaking your ass all night in front of me, this, that, and the third. And I was just like, oh,
Hmm.
so it was difficult for me to separate the fact that I hustled and then get them to take me serious as a recording artist and as a businesswoman, because a lot of the same people that you are going to, a lot of the gatekeepers that you're going to and asking for record deals or asking to help or put you on, they're also in the clubs.
Right.
So they knew who I was.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing as well, because it's almost as though as that they've gone through something to be where they're at, and then they gone through it, and then they gone through it, and then they gone through it. And as you said, they are gatekeepers, because it's almost like it's impossible to go to another level without interacting with a certain kind of person.
Right.
And if you're a woman or if you're just young and you happen to be just a little bit attractive and a little
Yeah.
bit naive and a
Right.
little bit hungry and a little bit eager to be out of your current situation to be in that next situation, it's
Yeah.
like you're the plump lamb to the slaughtering.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. It's expected, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what a lot of people have to deal with when they're trying to level up.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with powerful people, influential people, and so I may have pissed a couple of guys off, and it was interesting. I had to do some fighting.
Oh, I would definitely say like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you pissed a couple of guys off because they thought one way and then they probably was like, well, I thought it was gonna go this way and it turns out that it
Yeah.
didn't. So I would not put it past you. I would be highly surprised if you told me that oh, I never pissed anybody off, or oh, everybody loved me. See, that's what you don't hear,
Right. Right.
or you shouldn't hear. Oh, I've never
Right.
pissed anybody off. Everybody's my friend. Like, in a delusional world, maybe.
Right.
But
And this particular person was like telling people, don't fuck with her. She's this, she's that. So it was like a subtle form of blackballing. But it was so funny because it worked out in my favor because people would call me and, well, Jennifer, what happened? Why is so and so saying this about you? And then they would end up helping me anyway. So I was like, the hell?
you
It was
know,
it was funny. It was
that's also
funny.
a crazy thing. There's been a lot of people in business, and it's weird because it's always personal, friend, business that kind of all interlink within each other. Where
Yeah.
if you meet a person, they're either going to be in business, friendship, or a situationship. But
Yeah.
it's hard to kind of really tell what it's going to turn out to. In that instance, is usually like, okay, well, let me meet this person first,
Hmm.
and then you'll find out, okay, this might be a situation, or this we might actually work together, or
Hmm.
this might just be a friendship, a harmless friendship. Cool. And you know I can tell you, even as a man, as a young man, you know early 20s, being in certain situations because of the lane that I was in at the time. I think I was working with a magazine, a beauty magazine at the time. So of course the arenas that I was in were beauty salons. And who are in beauty salons? Women. And in most cases, there were always usually women who were either freshly divorced, super single, had current relationship issues, or were just messy, right?
Hmm.
And let you be that one person who steps in, who has no baggage, no kids, no terrible relationships, like a clean slate.
Right.
As a young man like that, it's like women can just smell that. It's like an aroma. They just can tell. Like, oh,
Right.
he's young. I can do whatever, and I don't have to suffer no repercussion. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get myself in his life. The same thing for a
Right.
woman. I think that, you know, if you're too, it's like, I know this is weird to say, but it's almost as if you're too hungry or too eager to do something, to get into something,
Hmm.
it's like people use that against you.
Yeah, they
And
do. It's like you give off a bat signal.
yeah, and they take it as a sign of, you know what, I can try her.
Right. So you can't be too eager. You can't want it too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so super strange. You can't want it too bad, because if you want it too bad, then you know.
They use that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I've only lived in mainly two main cities in my life. I was born and raised in California, L.A. We moved to Atlanta the other part of my life, and majority of my issues with people, the majority of my business endeavors, education, everything like that spawned from the environment of Atlanta. Not to down Atlanta, because there's a lot of great things in Atlanta, but there's a lot of landmines in Atlanta. In a grassy, beautiful field,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be careful where you step because you take one step, it could be a win, or you can take a step that'll set you so far back in debt, in time, in emotional stability,
Exactly.
you know. And I think one of the biggest things in Atlanta is the stigma that people of color do not like to pursue help in the sense of mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like because that's the case, a lot of people put their issues and problems off to you. So whatever they're going through, they'll take it out on you, and you, freshly moving to a city, not knowing anybody, you know, they push their baggage off to you, and you're sitting here looking like, wow, well, this is a heck of an entrance. You know, how am I to think of this? And you don't want to put that same experience or that same eye on the entire city because all of Atlanta is not like that.
Right.
You know, so I didn't know that about the music though. Like, was that something that was just like a momentous thing, or was that something that you actually had like a plan?
No, I actually had a plan. I've always been, into the arts, the
Mm-hmm.
music, the theater, film, sketch comedy writing. That's always been my thing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was my whole reason for coming to Atlanta, just kind of
Mm-hmm.
um just get a record deal.
Okay. So basically, almost like the same premise of if somebody were to go to L.A. to become an actor.
Right,
Okay.
right, right.
And you're not wrong. You're not wrong for that because again, if you are in any kind of music, it almost always seems that Atlanta is that place for that.
Mhm.
And if you can only avoid being around too many of the wrong people or just too many people in general, it's almost as though as you would do very, very well.
Yeah, and therein lies the dilemma.
Yes, it does. And it's weird because it's very hard to stay antisocial in Atlanta for too long.
Right.
You know, but along with that, if you ever think about it, almost everybody in history that has done something incredible, something amazing, something noteworthy that is still in the history books have all had some kind of screw loose, something wrong with them, some blemish, some bruise. They had something. They were never squeaky clean.
Right.
And isn't it kind of
Yeah,
funny?
we all have a story, a backstory.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting to me that it's almost as though as greatness, one of the ingredients is issues.
Mhm.
You know, you could never go into something perfect, unbothered,
Mhm.
level headed exactly. So when you got into cooking, and what what encouraged you or gave you just the overall the strength to want to pursue traveling with cooking versus the traditional brick and mortar?
Well, I worked in the actual brick and mortar. I did the hotels. I did the Applebee's. I washed dishes at Applebee's. I worked at the Georgia Terrace downtown Atlanta, and just
Mm-hmm.
did a lot of their parties and worked, and serving a lot of their guests at the hotel. And I just like my freedom. I like being able to travel and create my own schedule, and
You know, less
it's just
politics.
yeah, it's something about having your own and just doing your own thing and creating your own menu. It's just different. But when you are working um in an actual, I guess, working for a company, you have to you have to stick to their menu, and they don't pay you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an issue as well. But I just really enjoy my freedom and create my own schedule, my own menu, everything. I get to cook what I want to cook when I want to cook. So it's just different when you have your own thing.
Yeah, there's a type of pride of having your own.
Mhm.
And the thing about when for our people, not many of us had our own.
Mhm.
So when we get our own, we want to hold on to it as much as possible. So in that process of acquiring your own, what were some of the roadblocks or the speed bumps that you hit?
Uh, some of the roadblocks, just dealing with some of the management in the culinary field. If you get hired as a cook in some places, if they see that you're talented, sometimes management will um, do little things like make sure that you stay in the department that they want you to stay in. So if there is a job opportunity for you to get promoted and go to a different part of the company, management will play little games behind the scenes and say things, and you won't even realize that a job opportunity has
Mm-hmm.
slipped or promotion has slipped through your fingers because management is behind closed doors making sure that they keep you where you are. So they kind of manipulate and control um, whether or not you can elevate in the company.
So essentially, they would stifle you.
I had several opportunities come my way, and I agreed to go ahead and transfer to a different part of the company, and then all of a sudden, I never heard about it again, and I was like, oh, that was strange, and it was because somebody in management
Mm-hmm.
used their influence and made sure that I stayed where I was.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
I
very
saw it.
political.
It happened a couple of times.
Wow. I think, and this is just going off of just my own understanding. I think that in that particular lane, it's almost as though as you really have to try to stifle somebody, to keep somebody from doing something,
Mhm.
especially if they are naturally talented, naturally something. It's like you
Mhm.
really have to go out your way to make that person stay where they're at and try to hinder them as much as possible. It's not like something that you can just, with very little effort. Oh, I don't have to do much. That's it. Boom. And that
Mhm.
person won't go anywhere. That's interesting though.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah,
know.
they play a lot of games. They get behind closed doors. They huddle up in their offices. It's
Hmm.
real interesting just watching. I sit and I observe. So that happened one too many times, and I just bowed out gracefully. And I sent a letter to HR and was like, hey, thank you for the opportunity. And I'm going in another direction. I was just real cool about it because I'm not confrontational when I see things like that. I just bow out gracefully.
Growing up, that was something that, my mom has always told me. Out of a lot of the negative things that I've seen in my childhood and my life, one of the main things were no matter where you go to, make sure you do not burn the bridge that was created for you at that time. Even if things don't go the way they were supposed to be and where the way that they were meant to be, it's
Mhm.
always best to leave on a good note to where if you ever have to come back. So I became an adult and got into business. And
Mhm.
I think, what is it? I think I made my first professional dollar at 17. And
Mhm.
I myself, I know I'm almost 13, but no, I'm almost 30. I'm sorry. Almost 30. And even somewhat as a kid, it was kind of like I got introduced to the professional world in Atlanta very young without knowing, you know, money management, without knowing what partnership was, percentage partnership,
Mhm.
without knowing what contracting is, handshake deals, not knowing anything, not knowing that it wasn't enough to just be talented, you know, that you also had to have a sense of street knowledge, but also a sense
Oh yeah.
of book knowledge as well, because
Oh yeah. You got to be street smart. You got to be
yes,
street. Can't be book smart and not be street smart.
And the weird thing about it is you can be book smart, but the book never teaches you how to apply it to the streets. So
Exactly.
that's why you got to balance it. You got to know when to pull what card at what time and how long you need to hold on that card. It's like a card game, a
Hmm.
life.
Exactly.
You know, I use this analogy a lot. Um, it took me a long time to learn how to play spades, right? And it seems like spades is like the go-to of any kind of black group, like conference, get together, anything like that. Spades game is almost always the go-to. And as I was learning how to play, it was weird because I was like, you know what, this game is like life, because no matter what ways you decide to shuffle the cards, you're dealt a hand and you're expected to play that hand and win without
Hmm.
knowing if you will win. And I'm like, this is weird because this is just like life. And I played the game like life, and weirdly enough, I was winning a lot and I made a lot of people unhappy. So,
Hmm.
um, I guess along with that analogy is it's like hearing you say that you bowed out gracefully and you made your departure, and now you've tasted the good life on the other side of, well, this is what it feels like to have my own. I like having my own. I like being my own boss. I like controlling my own, calling my own shots as a boss. And I know that term is used very loosely out here in these streets, but being a boss, can you share with us some gems that a lot of people do not know, that's overlooked and highly underrated?
Um, I guess I would say uh, build your relationships. Very important. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to be a better person. Um, just what else? What else? Work hard, give back to the community. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's just what I do. What I do.
And that's good. That's a lot of people don't really hear that enough. They usually hear like the cliche type of stuff, and it's usually based off of like the image appeal. A lot of
Hmm.
people see, oh, entrepreneur, business owner, oh, she looks, she's going to these events and this and that, whatever, and they only take part of just the glam side of it, but
Right.
they don't understand that behind the scenes, if
Yeah.
you are not organized, if you don't know how to manage nothing, if you don't know how to conduct good business, that
Right.
glam is out the window before it started.
Right. You got to plant your seeds. You got to do the work. Nobody owes you anything.
Hmm.
All of that.
So one of the things that I've seen quite a bit, on social media, and just with tagged photos and even some videos and everything like that, I've seen you at quite a bit of like women empowerment events, networking
Hmm.
events, things like that, and almost like red carpet type of situations.
Yeah.
So what is that like, either being one of the few people in the food industry going into a networking situation and attempting to connect with people outside of your lane?
But it's wonderful opportunities because you meet some of the most influential people at these events, and they
Mm-hmm.
come over. They're interested in what I'm doing. They're interested in the food. They like the food, and we strike up conversations. I mean, I've made a lot of friends just being in the culinary field. I've
Mm-hmm.
met a lot of people and built a lot of relationships, and they refer me to their friends. So it's like it's a network,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people running in the same circles.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows everybody. So I mean, it's just they embrace me, and then other doors end up opening up. I have a lot of opportunities with sketch comedy, with
Mm.
music, with film, and it's just the culinary field has kind of helped me bridge the gap
Hmm.
with entertainment.
Yeah, because it seems like, anybody in any kind of field, they need to eat. So
Hmm.
you can
Yes, if you're
essentially
bringing
go
good food,
anywhere.
if you're bringing good food, that's even better.
Oh yeah. So it seems like you can almost blend in any circle.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it feels.
And that's a great lane because it almost essentially makes you bulletproof of recession almost.
Hmm.
You
Yeah, because
know.
people gotta eat. They gotta eat.
Oh yeah. You know. Um
And you
and
know what?
uh
Whenever all those businesses started shutting down because of COVID-19 and everything, I didn't miss a beat. I kept moving.
really.
Yeah, I kept moving. It was like
Wow.
I wasn't in a building, so I'm mobile. I'm all over the place. People are hiring me. I didn't miss a beat. So that's another wonderful thing about being mobile.
Yeah, that is a blessing. I've spoken to a few people, interviewed a few people, and they have their different perspectives as to how COVID influenced them. And if it wasn't financial, it was usually, you know I don't know, that's a weird year. It
Mhm.
caused them that if they were in a business relationship with somebody, 2020 opened their eyes to see whether they need to stay in that relationship with that person or they need to move
Mhm.
forward.
Exactly.
So it was like a weird universal shock to everybody that, hey, do I need to go on my own or do I need to build a closer bond with the person that I'm working with? Because, you know, this is serious. This is real.
Yeah,
There are some people who are shut down and are never coming back,
exactly.
and to be fortunate to be in a situation and a lane to be able to make people happy, I think right there, is not only a walking testimonial, but in the walking testimony, it's that's awesome
Hmm.
because, you know, the rarity of you walking away and somebody's pissed off is slim. I would think it's slim to none, but I'm sure you're gonna have that one person who's gonna be difficult.
It's always one.
Always gonna be one. Everything could
It's
never be
always one.
truly perfect.
Right. Then I give them something to eat and they're fine. They're happy again.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So, everybody's had, disgruntled customers and things like that. What was
Mhm.
what was one of those customer client situations that was either so bad that you had to contemplate keep going cooking? It almost made you want to quit.
I wasn't cooking. I was serving as a hostess at the Cheesecake Factory,
Okay.
and we had to we had to seat the guests as they came in. You know, where they would be on the waiting list, and I know there was this guy came in with his dates, and I brought them to their table, and he just had a really nasty attitude and came back to the front desk and was mad about I guess waiting for his food. I can't even remember what his argument was, but he was
Mm-hmm.
taking it out on me, and I'm standing there trying to talk to him, and management comes over and they're like, well, what's going on? And he's got this nasty attitude in front of everybody, and that was one of those days I was just like, I was ready to leave the Cheesecake Factory. I don't want to deal with this rude guy and his foolishness in front of everybody. I wasn't cooking, I was just hosting at that particular time. But
Okay.
he was just really loud. It's a restaurant full of people, and he was just yelling. I guess because he had to wait on his food. I don't know what his beef was.
So was it like one of those situations where he just felt a bit entitled?
Yeah,
And
he had this arrogance about himself,
oh, so he
and
just felt like he
it
shouldn't
was a
have to
really
wait on
busy. It
nobody.
was a really busy night at the restaurant, so I was just like, okay, you know, he
Yeah.
has to wait. He has to wait like everybody else. But we were busy.
Yeah. And
It was,
I do love cheesecake. I do. The dessert and the restaurant. And I know anybody that goes there are already on some kind of level of bougie. So if you
Yeah,
have that kind of attitude,
it was around the holidays too, so you know they were packed.
oh yeah, and then that adds on to it. That adds on
Yeah,
to it. So he was probably entitled. He was probably, feeling like, people should be falling to his whim because he's
hmm
paying kind of thing. And was he by
yeah.
himself?
No, he was with his date.
Oh, okay. So that's basically putting on in front of the date,
Uh
trying
huh.
to, putting on a macho situation to just show off. There's a lot of that. There's a lot
I
of that.
guess so.
So in the business realm, let's put the food to the side a little bit. So in business, um, what a lot of people misconstrue when it comes down to what branding is, that's something that um, I preach very heavy on. A lot of people really don't understand what it is. When people hear branding, they only want to make it synonymous to a logo, but in true effect, branding is more so when people hear your name, or in your case, when they taste your food, or when they experience just your overall courtesy.
Hmm.
To you, what would be your definition of branding if you were to go in a new place, new event situation where people are just now getting to know you? What are some of the things people can get a piece of you as a brand before they've even seen or done or experienced anything that you do?
Well, I like to go into the event with my marinade line that I've created. So I
Oh,
come in there with all of my jars of my sauces. I have an oxtail sauce, a fish sauce, a tartar sauce. So
ooh,
whenever they come to my table, they see my product out on the table, and that's like a conversation starter right away.
oh,
And of course I give them samples of
nice.
whatever whatever the sauce is. I give them samples of whatever the food is I'm serving that day. So that helped.
Samples are good. Samples are good. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a perfect natural situation because people are gonna ask, well, what is this? And then it
Mm-hmm.
automatically opens up, and it kind of cuts out that awkward. Well, we're both here at this event. You're standing over there. I'm standing over here, and we managed to catch
Mm-hmm.
eye contact. We both want to say something, but we don't want to be the first person to say it.
Yeah.
So that's good that cuts that.
They're immediately curious when you bring products with you. They're curious and they want to come over and talk about it, and then and they've purchased some, brought and took some home with them.
So in media, have you done anything? Was it anything outside of just music wise, or did you ever want to kind of go into TV, television show, film, anything like that?
Oh yeah, I've done a lot of television, a lot of film work behind the scenes. I've done production, and I've also been in front of the camera as well.
Got you. Okay. So what what were some of the things I guess that you picked up that you can apply to food in that realm as far as how that machine works?
You said how I can apply to food.
Yes, just in the overall food running the food business. Coming from another lane, how could you apply that?
Um, I guess a lot of times the productions need catering services. So I come
Mm-hmm.
in there and I ask them, do you guys need a caterer on the set? I've been able to work either as an actress or as a caterer.
Oh, so you was
Whenever,
just
yeah,
situated to where you could get in either way.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. In Atlanta, that's valuable.
Hmm.
That is absolutely valuable. You know, like so being in those kind of fortunate situations, it's safe for me to assume that you've gotten acquainted to a lot of people. You've
Hmm.
been in a lot of different circles. And as well as travel to a lot of different places. Were
Hmm.
there Were there some moments where things got so overwhelming that you either, contemplated expanding, or is that something that's in the future down the line, or you're comfortable where you're at right now?
I do want to expand. I want to. I've been inspired to do like a culinary line. I want the kitchen appliances. I want
Mm.
the chef jackets, the signature chef jackets with the matching hats and the aprons. So I am thinking about expansion.
I think when anytime that I've ever heard anybody talk about cooking, I think it's only maybe they may not go quite towards the sauce, but it's
Hmm.
usually something super super introductory, like maybe a baked good, but you almost never hear cookware or the
Yeah,
the clothing. Like that is really incredible because you never think of that.
yeah. I think that would be great.
And it's just something about a chef in uniform, clean, and the food's good. It's kind of like, hey, it's hard to really be mad at that. You know,
Right,
somebody professional, nice on the eyes, and the food's good, and the atmosphere and the professional. It's just the whole package of the
right,
situation is just right.
right.
You
And
know,
that's important. That's important that you said the whole package. Yeah.
yes.
Everything has to be right. Everything has to be in line.
So, do you usually have helpers if you ever, you cater somewhere and it's a pretty hefty, big situation? Do you usually have helpers?
Yeah, I definitely have some people in the culinary circle that I can call on. We all kind of know each other and work together. They call me and ask me to come and help their events, and then I call them and ask them to come and help with mine.
Yeah, that's a great industry. That actually kind of sort of reminds me of the tattoo industry is like that a little bit without the competition so much. It's very much like that as well. And
Mm-hmm.
if you are amongst people that you happen to, you respect the lane that they're in, um, and you all have been working for quite some time, that if you ever are in a pinch, it's nice to be connected to where you can just call somebody and boom, you're connected. You're good to go. You're not left to have to fend for yourself so much.
Right. And it's good to know that you can call on someone and you're not out there all by yourself.
Yeah,
Because it can get pretty overwhelming.
I can imagine in a big city, especially if you're in and it's well connected, and that if you are assisting in this event and it's either a make or break type of situation where it's expected for
Hmm.
you to do a really good job because there's a high chance that you can eat again the
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah,
Is
and I had to learn to stop trying to do everything all by myself and to ask for help. I had to learn that. I used to try to be superwoman and do everything all by myself.
well, I could probably tell without really going in and actually like guessing, but you seem like you are a stickler for detail, a stickler for things being in order, and you seem like you have like if you know something's supposed to go down a certain kind of way, you're going to stick to it and let that be law.
Hmm.
So, has that been really any kind of cases that you've lost your cool during production process planning behind the scenes situation?
No, I exercise a lot of self control.
Yeah,
Now
so
behind the scenes, I might,
mhm.
when I get by myself, I might talk about somebody behind their back.
Hey, we all
But
do. No shame in it.
yeah, yeah, but I try to keep a lot of self control and not blow up in front of people. It's just not cool. It's just it's embarrassing. So no, I haven't had any crazy situations. I keep my sense of humor too. That's important. That's another thing. I keep my sense of humor
Isn't
when
it
I'm dealing with
hard?
people. It is hard. It is hard, but I've learned, you got to keep your sense of humor. You're dealing with some of everybody here in the city of Atlanta. You're
Yeah, and
dealing with all walks of life out here.
it's call it a melting pot is an understatement because I believe it's so much more when you just throw. It's like you throw in a bunch of random ingredients in a pot, stir it up, and it's expected to taste good, but then it has
Yeah,
all different kind of flavors that just keep coming at you.
I call it gumbo.
Isn't it just like gumbo? It is.
Yeah.
Gumbo got a bit of everything in it.
Mhm.
You got a bit of everything, but you know, I can tell you from the creative lane of being with photographers and videographers and other designers and painters and things like that. In that lane is not so much camaraderie in the sense of okay, we respecting each other, we're going after the same thing. The value that we're seeing that hey, if we're both trying to win, let's try to win together. Is more of a
Mhm.
I'm trying to win and I'm trying to take it from you.
Wow.
And I know every industry is not like that, but in this particular one, it's very much like that. And you have a lot of people who are, they do a bunch of things. Every time you talk to them, you ask them, oh, yeah, I do that. I do that too. Oh, yeah, I do that. It's like
Mhm.
they want to take everything that a person possibly will need to make it seem like I'm all of what you need. You don't need to go to nobody else. Come to me. I'll handle everything. But they may not be a specialist in that. If
Right.
if they can't handle it, they'll end up flopping and then boom, burn that bridge and then crashes and burn before it even got off the ground.
Right.
Um, and with speaking on that, being a jack of all trade, to me, throughout the years, I have picked up things along the way because I didn't have the privilege of knowing somebody that could do that. So I figured, you know what? Let me pick up this. Let me play with this a little bit. Let me see if I can do it. Because I didn't want to wait on nobody, or I couldn't wait on nobody.
So you're like self-taught.
Predominantly, I can tell you I'm predominantly self taught. I have,
Mhm.
you know, probably out of the percentage of what I know, formal education has a very small percentage of the majority of years that I've been doing what I do. Because going back to what we said, you can be book smart, but knowing how and when to apply those smarts from the pages, it's almost you got to throw the book away because in the real world, that stuff really does not apply.
Mhm. Exactly.
And it's crazy to even say that because you don't want to say education is a waste. It's not. But then when you apply it to real world, when it comes time for you to make a living, make a
Mhm.
real wage, it's almost like you got to throw that book away and go do something else to get your mind in the position to be able to handle this real world situation in front of me right now.
Right.
I think in relation to your lane and my lane, I think the one biggest project that I was asked to come a part of was it was a buddy of mine who was a chef and he worked at a sports bar and he had developed a type of everything sauce. I thought it was a joke when he first told me about it back then, and this was many years ago. And he's like, "Oh no, you got to try it." I was like, okay, whatever." Boom, threw it on some wings, threw it on some salad, threw it on some fish. I fell in love with it so much
Mhm.
that I decided I'm like, listen, you have to make me make this label. I don't care. You just hook me up with a 20 piece of wings and I got you. Cause this sauce is bomb. This is
It was
ridiculous.
that good.
It was ridiculously good. And when he said everything sauce, it was like it was a dipping sauce for fries. It was a dipping sauce for tenders. It was ridiculous.
Mhm.
And it was it was crazy because he thought I was joking. And I was like, nah, you know what? I'll be back. While you cooking my wings, I'll be back. Left, and right around the corner, I was working a project with a fashion designer. This was downtown Atlanta. So you can tell it was hot. It was already, busy. I think it was around the time where there was just a lot of creative people moving, shaking, making things happen. So I think it took me maybe 4 hours. I know I was super late. 4 hours. My plate of wings was already cold.
Oh
So
wow.
by the time that I was done, I waited till closing time. I came back and I showed him like a super, super rough concept of what I wanted to do with the with the sauce. So I was like, you remind me of a character, like a cartoon character. You feisty as a person as it is. You pop off at people. And since your sauce has a kick to it, I want to make you a chili pepper. Man busted out laughing. He busted out laughing, and then some other people around me, they didn't know what I was talking about. And I was like, trust me. I showed him it. He kind of got it. And then that kind of showed me, like, you know what? You can't always show people a half-baked idea. Sometimes you got to show them, here's the whole concept. Because everybody's not going to capture your vision like that. So
Right.
I finished the sauce label. And immediately that became something that was just super, super incredible. But the thing that kind of stifled it was he slowed down his motivations as far as trying to take the sauce label somewhere. And I was like, yo, my man, like, why you slowing down? Like, you got the label. Like, we just got to get this thing printed. Like, dude, slap this on some bottles and let's get this going. Apparently, either the people that he was dealing with, he didn't have a supportive team behind him. I'm pretty sure it was just, being around the wrong people who are not as driven as you.
Right.
It kind of takes away from your motivation.
Right. It's important to be mindful of the circle that you have around you, your support system.
For sure. And even at that time, I didn't know. I thought it was all him. I didn't know if it was anybody else. So we, lost communication for like a good summer years. Good summer years. The last time that I actually like heard from him, he hit me up, Mike, I got a restaurant. And I'm like, this man sound like he won the lottery or something like that. Like he done struck gold, sauce labeled and took off, and he decided to like franchise. So he opened up a diner, and I'm like, yo, this man is about to become wealthy. Because if he's gonna channel and traffic that sauce, it's over. It's over. And there was something about when you believe in somebody else's passion more than they believe it, that should be a red flag, but then it shouldn't. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Right. You can't want more for someone than they want for themselves.
Right, but it's like deep down inside you can't help it, but you almost have to restrain your excitement for that person.
Yeah.
As I'm telling you, I didn't do that. I think I went in very, very deep, too deep. The diner that he had needed a whole lot of cosmetic work, so I was like, you know what? He called me in and he's like, Mike, I need you to, he asked for something small. Help me with my menu. And I was like, well, let me take a look at the restaurant. When I took a look at the restaurant, he needed so much stuff done overall. I was like, you know what? Because you need so much stuff done, I want to partner with you. Now, I don't know nothing about food, but I love eating it. And we're going to start from there. I love eating it. And I can take pictures. And I can make it look good on print and on web. So let's partner. And then that way, we both can eat like kings. So where I went wrong was that he agreed with everything that I said, but we got nothing on paper. And I outfitted his entire restaurant with custom canvases, huge canvases, like 4-foot by 8-foot canvases.
Yeah.
A bunch of them, some small, some large. And because it was a restaurant, the art was art. It was food oriented. So it was something super eclectic that when you went in, it didn't feel like a diner. It felt like an exquisite restaurant in Buckhead when I got
Mm.
done with it. I fixed the lighting. The lighting situation was on point to where the spotlights hit the art just right. That menu was sexy. I'm talking about everything was legible. You can have a low
Wow.
light restaurant and still be able to read the menu. Okay.
Mhm.
I think I did everything but create his website. And the website was going to be the last thing. And what was funny was that he had his daughter work along as far as the technical stuff because he didn't really know much about the technicals. He had her work alongside, and she felt like, well, we can't pay Mike right now, so the least that I can do is at least feed him as he's putting in this sweat equity, because he was cooking and stuff like that. So she would basically hook me up with free food.
Okay.
I'm not gonna turn down a free plate. So I'm like, and the food was good. So I'm like, this is double awesome.
Mhm.
So I had a whole lot of passion for it, and then I find out that she tells me that he started to kind of pull her off to the side, and he was telling her, hey, like, why you keep giving him free food and whatnot? Like, you're too nice.
Wow.
Which was weird because I felt like he should have talked to me directly because I didn't know his daughter. I knew him. And he was telling her that she was being too nice by willing to make sure that I'm at least comfortable as I'm working, putting in this sweat equity.
Right.
And
And it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't I don't see anything wrong with
mhm,
him giving you food. I mean, if you're putting in the sweat equity, what's the problem with feeding you?
that's the thing that made it weird because,
Yeah, what's the problem?
right, it was like, well, we're both not making money right now. And I'm breaking my back and I'm creating artwork that I've never created before. And I'm the quarterback in this. I had a couple of guys that were helping me, but they were a couple of years younger than me, so I was kind of like a mentor. So I'm literally almost the only guy in there out of a few people. I was the most serious. I came into this partnership with the most. And that's why I
Hmm.
messed up. I came into the relationship with the most. And he started to kind of get a little weird on me, a little
Hmm.
funny because he was kind of figuring, yo, I'm racking up a bill with Mike, but I don't quite know how to talk to Mike about it because I know I'm racking up a bill. But
Okay.
but with me, I didn't really think of it like that because I knew like, hey, if we get an awesome restaurant and I'm a partner, I'm gonna eat anyways. I just want this thing to be successful because it was black business.
Hmm.
I just wanted us to win, you know? And I was authentic about it. I wasn't expecting no kind of payment on the front end. I wasn't expecting no kind of like, oh, you owe me, I'm just gonna keep receipts and then bill you later. It wasn't even like that. Because I just
Hmm.
believed in what he was doing. And then I loved his food. And I think I fell too deep. I think
Hmm.
so. Um but fast forwarding through all the politics, the restaurant flopped.
Wow.
And when I tell you it flopped, it crashed on the runway as it was trying to take off.
Hmm. Well,
Crashed.
why did it crash?
I can tell you this. It crashed because they did not have a business plan
Hmm.
at all. They did not have a business plan. Um, his daughter financed the situation as far as um, in her name, in her credit, getting a loan to get the down payment to even lease the building. He had nothing tied to him directly. He had no direct investment.
Hmm.
So when the building flopped, she took that L with the credit and the financial aspect of it. I took a flop because I created a whole lot of artwork. I had a whole lot of video, a whole lot of stuff that even if I had walked away later on, I would have used that video content to get paid off later on, you know? So I was going to get something out of it anyways, because that's, this is what I was thinking. But the place flopped, and it was at the time where I was going in there, putting in work for this artwork almost every day. Mm-hmm. And the guys that I was working with were very immature. They didn't really bring much to the pot. I was financially vouching for them. I think I wasn't even eating well because my appetite wasn't there because I was frustrated. Mm-hmm. I was losing sleep, so I was sleep deprived and I wasn't eating right. So I got sick a lot. And I got very angry and I got very irritable because I started to figure out, like, I snapped a few times. I think it was like one of the moments that I actually lost my cool. I snapped at everybody. Everybody was laughing, ha ha, hee hee. I'm in the back, cutting into a canvas, sanding it down, and I'm hearing everybody in the front of the diner laughing and joking. And I'm in the back, hotter than a slave, sanding down something because I want this place to become something. Mm-hmm. So I snapped. I cussed everybody out, flat out. I cussed everybody.
So then you're the bad guy.
Oh, yeah. And the thing about it was, they kept on like, Mike, if you need help, just tell us. And I'm sitting here like, you mean to tell me I got to tell you that I need help when I brought you on here in the first place? Mm-hmm. I think I called them everything under the sun aside from a child of God.
Oh, wow.
I got evil. I got evil because it's like when you play with my passion and my emotion and my authentic love for something, and I decide to share that with you and you play with it, I get evil. And I hate to let somebody take me out of that element, but that's what that did at that time. Mm-hmm. And I got evil, and I cussed.
I know the feeling. I know that feeling.
Yeah, and it took me out so far. Eyes went dark. I just, everybody looked at me different. Like, Mike, what happened to you? Because this is not you. And I think I packed up my stuff, and I dipped. I got out of there. I just left. I was like, you know what? I'm about to go. Mm-hmm. And I left, and I don't think I came back for a couple of days. Now, it was pivotal as to what happened that when I left, took a break, rested up, tried to get my health back right, because it didn't seem like nobody cared about it. I find out that the place closed up. The landlord kicked them out. They had to pack up my artwork and whatever I had in the building, and they had to get everything out. Artwork was scattered in the wind. Some of my art pieces were locked up in the diner, so some of those were left. And when I came back, nobody told me that things went as far left as it did. Everybody kind of...
Were you ever able to retrieve your artwork?
No, not even to this day, and that was more than a few years ago. I think that was like now going on almost 4 years now. I still to this day do not own no pieces of those artworks. I just have photographs.
You didn't go to the landlord about it?
Now the thing about the landlord is I never met the landlord directly, but from how they painted him, the landlord seemed as though they were a slumlord.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was one of those situations. So it's like, oh, so this is how y'all got a good deal on the place in the first place. I knew something was too good to be true, because when was the last time somebody let a black person have that much restaurant? Okay. So, little politics in there a little bit. So, yeah, when they shut down shop, it literally was like the place was like cleaned out. And by the time that I found out about it, it was like The daughter, she had about half of my artwork. Her father, the owner of the restaurant, he had the other half of my artwork and everything like that. Everybody went their separate ways. Everybody put my artwork in storage, and not to say that they didn't want to give me the artwork, but they weren't volunteering it back to me.
Mm.
So as it was kind of looked at as, oh, we're protecting your artwork, but y'all not really trying to give it back. So there was that dynamic.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate that happened. I know that took a big piece out of you.
It did. It definitely did. And, even though that this was business, even though we were, I was friends with the owner, it started out as we're two passionate men, happen to be friends, but we happen to want to go into business together.
Mm-hmm.
This was something that kind of taught me that, how you can't mix business and pleasure. One of the guys that I had brought on board with me was my flesh and blood cousin. The other guy that I had was a friend of mine. So that was already biased, So when you work with family, work with friends, you kind of already know if money's on the table or money's not on the table, people's real colors come out.
Oh, yeah.
And, just to not get too convoluted, I found out people were sleeping with each other during the whole working process of the whole business arrangement.
No, you know that.
And I'm sitting here like, and this is all when the owner of the restaurant wasn't even there. So this stuff was happening behind his back, behind my back.
What happened? They sleeping with each other in the restaurant?
No.
Just away from the restaurant.
One of the guys that I had brought on started to sleep with the owner's daughter.
Okay.
Who was married.
Okay.
And that was an interesting dynamic because the husband was around.
A little bit of soap opera thing going on. A little soap opera.
It was strange. It was very much soap opera, very much Love and Hip Hop type of thing. But it was like, I'm like, how does everybody around me know what's going on? And I'm the one that basically created the contract, created the whole situation. I'm the one that brought everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very, very end, which didn't happen till like another month later, when I finally found out what happened, everybody's gone on the wind. Everybody's so scattered that I don't even have anybody to pop off to and vent and catch anybody by the neck because they already are scattered. Nobody wanted to tell me anything. And, I learned a lot from that situation, and I was angry from that situation for a very long time. And I think majority of the lessons that I got out of that was, be careful when you put your heart on your sleeve, because if people see it, they're going to want to cut it. They're going to want to cut into it. They're going to want to take a piece of that because they see that you love what you do. Mm-hmm. So they're going to prey on, you love what you do. So let's take advantage of that. Let's try to use as much of it as possible. And maybe
you know what I take from that, Michael?
Yeah.
People come into your life either to test you, to teach you, to use you, or to make you a better person.
Yes.
That's what I take from that when I see an experience like that.
Very true. And of course, it's hard to take a lesson when it freshly happened. At the time, you weren't trying to listen to nothing. You weren't trying to take anything from it. And it wasn't till a couple of years later that I actually truly learned to, forgive the situation, forgive them. Years later, I actually talked to the daughter. She told me, this is how she tells me. She tells me the whole situation. This is why I know what I know. And she gave me the apology that I always wanted. Didn't ask for it, but she gave me the apology that I always desired, but didn't think that I would get. I didn't look at her any different. She was going through whatever she was going through. It just spilled over into business. And, I forgave the situation.
Very good.
And I think out of that, there was a sunshine through that situation, through that awkward situation. And, that's why I tell people, when there's something traumatic that happens that it molds you into the person that you are today, it's
Hmm.
worth talking about it after you get over it, forget it, not forget it, but you get over it, you forgive with it, and
And move forward.
yeah, you move forward with it. You should be able to talk about it because it's something that was pivotal to help you become the person that you are today.
Yeah, it made you who you are today.
Right. You can't just talk about the all the good things that have happened. You can't talk
Mhm.
about just the, oh yeah, I had a couple little low moments, or little ramen noodles here, low money here. You got to talk about what was the thing that kind of built your character, because as you say, struggle builds character
Mhm.
in some facet, whether it be financial, whether it just be grinding, working a hard situation to get something better, as you did. You had your own come up where you worked jobs you probably didn't care about, didn't want to, because you knew that you wanted your own situation, but you knew that you had to go through something to get to that other side.
Exactly.
There's a,
And I wasn't afraid to work for it. I wasn't afraid to grind for it.
isn't that changed today? Where a lot of people are trying to avoid the grind and they're just trying to just get to it.
Well, if you scared of the work, you might as well be scared of the money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something, there's a different kind of gratitude when you work your back off and then you finally get paid for it.
Hmm.
It's like that money, that's a different kind of money.
It is. And then some people feel some type of way. And you have to tell them, "Well, I work for it. I work." Some people feel some type of way when they see you get it, like you didn't work your ass off for it.
That is
Like, no, I
strange.
worked for it. I earned it.
That is strange.
Hmm.
Some people, they almost guilt trip you for you being able to enjoy the money that you earned.
Hmm.
That's strange. I think so like let me ask you this. So like today, even though, you own your own situation, is there anything in the horizon that you see yourself collaborating, partnering, affiliating with? What is your mindset as far as that goes, given all of what you've been through so far?
Yeah, I do see myself collaborating with um another chef that I know of right now. She's got a cookware line, and I want to I want to go in and kind of be a an apprentice and learn
Mm-hmm.
working under her, and just kind of eventually branch off and do my own cookware.
That's always good. It's always good to surround yourself by somebody that either knows a bit more than you,
Hmm.
because then there's something to take from it. There's something to learn from it. You know, you're not surrounding yourself by someone who has less than you.
Right. I make a point to do that.
I mean, it's showing. It's really, really showing because, I mean, not to say that you edit your life on social media and you only show the glam side of things, but you can tell when someone works hard. You can tell when somebody loves what they do, that they put a lot of time, a lot of effort in what they do. Because, to be honest, good work is not cooked up overnight, pun intended.
Right.
You
You're
know,
right. It's not. It takes a long time, a lot of grinding, a lot of mistakes, um,
you know,
learning from those mistakes.
you got it down to a science to where hey, if there's gonna be a so and so event and it's got 10 people up in there, okay, I know what I need. Boom, I know what I need.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else would think like, are you sure that's enough? Oh no, I know what I need.
Right.
I'm the same kind of way with painting, with a mural. If I know how big the wall is, I'm like, okay, I know how much paint I need. Boom.
Right.
And it's so fulfilling you to know your stuff so well that it doesn't intimidate you on the complexity of the project. You can go in there, show your ass off, do a good job, and happily collect that check when you're confident in what you're doing.
Exactly.
You know, do you see yourself writing a book?
Hmm. No, I hadn't actually thought about writing. a book about my experience, but I have published like a poetry book,
Hmm.
and I've done like I write sketch comedy and things like that. I have a you know I do write. I haven't thought about writing an actual book about my life story or anything like that,
Well, not
but
yet.
that might be a good idea.
Yeah, and I'm definitely somebody that's a reader, and weirdly enough, as much as social media has put out here, there are a lot of people who read, and there's a lot of people who read, and it's something about when you hear the words of a person that somebody would look up to and respect. When you hear
Mm.
a certain side of that person, you grow more respect and more appreciation of that person to know that, well, this person went through something very similar than what I'm going through right now. Let me read on
Hmm.
because I want to see how she made it through. And people can use your blueprint as a type of guide, as an idea that, okay, I'm going through something right now, but I'm reading about this woman and she was able to make it through whatever difficulty that she had. Because whatever I'm going through, I don't see no light at the end of the tunnel.
Now, I did partner with Women on the Rise All Access, and we kind of
Hmm.
gave little snippets of our story, um, about some of the things, some of our experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and how we got to where we are right now. So it's me and several other authors, compiled in a book, and that's available on Amazon. But I don't have like my life story, like what you were talking about, like my whole life story. I don't have a book like that.
Okay. Okay. I mean, the future's unpredictable. I definitely, I'm going to talk it up. I'm going to talk it up because I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I can already see that. You know, hey, whether it be a cookbook, whether it be
Mhm.
a memoir, whatever it might be, whether it even be an
Yeah, I'd like to
audiobook.
do a cookbook too. That would be cool too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You already have your own spin on what you do, things like that, and what you would do different. Cookbooks never get old. And then even if you have an audiobook or anything like that, it's like the sky's the limit as to where you can go with your content.
That's true.
And as you even know, even though as tragic as 2020 was, 2020 has birthed a lot of new entrepreneurs, but it
Hmm.
also birthed a lot of new lanes that people have taken, where you have the fitness industry making videos, selling their videos online.
Hmm.
You know, there's a lane for cooking. Even though,
Hmm.
yes, we have YouTube, but it's very generic. It's very cut and paste. Let it be a case where you have somebody who is easy on the eyes, but as well as the video is entertaining. So it's not just they're cooking something. No, they're actually going in and talking about, either telling a story as they're cooking, or it's more to it than just food.
Right.
Whether they get life advice or positive gems as they're cooking food, and then of course the visuals look so good, and just that goes back into the packaging, the whole situation. That's what YouTube lacks, and things like that. So that's why it's like, this whole COVID thing has really created a whole lot of new doors that are just waiting to be opened. And it's just a matter of you taking your motivation and just kicking that door in and taking it,
Hmm.
absolutely taking it. So, but yeah, I want to take a moment, and I want to hear, what you have going on currently right now, event wise or just project wise. Can you tell the people anything that you have going on right now?
Um, well, recently I worked in production with film producer Terry Miles with Silverback Films, and I've just was behind the scenes working production. It's a gangster movie that's going to be released May of 2021. And um, what else do I have? I'm just doing sketch comedy with some of my comedian friends. And that's about it. Just
Okay.
writing some new sketches and putting that on the on the Instagram.
Okay. Okay. And
Yeah.
on social media, so where can people find you?
On Instagram, you can find me at Jennifer Janae Tom, and Jen's Cajun Bistro is my other page for my culinary.
Okay.
And then on Facebook, you can find me Jennifer Janae Tom.
Okay. I'll make sure that I tag everything in the show notes so then that way people can connect with you and see the beautifully awesome food that you do have on there. It's like a Pinterest page of just awesomeness. You go there and just keep scrolling and just keep
Yeah.
scrolling. You make videos of sizzling food. It's a setup. It's a setup.
Oh, thank you so much, Michael, for having me.
Absolutely, it has been a pleasure. I already learned quite a bit. I've taken a few gems from you, and I definitely wish you a whole lot of success and where you're at, and hopefully a whole lot of more doors will open up for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and same to you. Much success.
Thank you, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it from here. This is Burn Bridges, brought to you by the Creative Catalyst. You all have a good night.